Good Tuesday morning, Mount Olive Church family and friends, everybody joining us online for another week of devotions. And we're going to continue on this week with devotions in the series that pastor's been preaching in and talking about to know him and make him known. I hope you caught the pastor's message Sunday, and I hope you got to be with us. If not, I hope you got to catch it online or listen to it, one of the two. And pastor's devotion Monday, and he used point number one of talking about he knows all, and he talked about the woman caught up in adultery, and I won't go through all that. You can go back and catch him, but catch his devotion for Monday. It's really good, so go watch that. But I'm going to continue on to Tuesday here with the same point of he knows all, and pastor mentioned something in the message Sunday coming from John chapter 4:4, and he talked about the woman at the well, and it's a scripture that I love in the Bible, and I preached on it once before, maybe a couple different times about that woman at the well, but I really love this, how it starts out, and I've put that scripture up here, and it says that he must needs go through Samaria. So we're going to get to that in just a second, but the scripture that pastor used Sunday is Psalm 139, and he talked about King David writing this scripture. And verse 3 says this: "Thou compassest my path and my lying down, and are acquainted with all my ways." And so talking about that is, the Lord, you search out my path. The Lord knows my path. He knows where I go. He knows where I go to sleep. He knows where I get up. He knows the direction I'm going to be. He knows where I'm going to be tomorrow, or he knows where I'm going to be days from now or weeks from now. He knows that very moment. And so that kind of stuck with my mind Sunday, and especially with this woman at the well. So I want to talk about that scripture, John 4:4, that says, "And he must needs go through Samaria." So you can see, I hope you can see on the screen here, I throw this map up here. So if you look down here at the bottom, you see that there's Jerusalem, and they're going to go up. Jesus and the disciples, they're on their way to Galilee. They're traveling up, going north. And so you can see there's three different colored routes here. They're shaded three different colors. And right through the middle of Samaria, you see this blue route. So that was the route that ran straight through it. The route to the right, which was called the eastern route, you can see that it kind of makes a little bit of a circle. The one on the left is a little bit longer. It's called the coastal route, and they would go over next to the sea, to the coastline, and back up. And so that's the way that the Jews would travel, because there was such distinction between them and the Samaritans. There was a lot of hatred there. So they would travel days out of their way. This route to the left, the coastal route, it would take about 3 days longer to go that direction, but they would do that to stay away from the Samaritans and going through Samaria. If they went to the eastern route, it was not as long as the coastal route, but they also had to cross the Jordan a couple times when they done that. They had to cross it, go up, and then cross back over again. So it wasn't a way that they usually went. And I think the disciples knew this, but he told them he had to go through that direction. So let's talk about this woman at the well. And pastor mentioned Sunday that, he talked about the scripture that when she come to talking about knowing all, that Christ looked at her and he said, "Well, go get your husband." And she says, "Well, I'm not married." And he said, "No, as a matter of fact, you're not. The 5 past men you had are not your husband, and the one you're with now is, in fact." So he wasn't doing that to shame her, but he was doing that to tell her, "Hey, I know who you are. I know about your lifestyle. I know about your past." So here's some points to remember. Number one, he knew her past, but he still loved her. Number two, he knew her current lifestyle, but he still loved her. And he knew that she would be at that well on that day at that particular time. A lot of times in our lives, I think we get to where we think God is so far off, or there's a distance between us that he's not caught up in where we're at. And in fact, God knows exactly where we'll be. And he knew that woman that day, in the middle of the day, nobody else would have expected her to be there. Nobody else in Samaria, and none of his disciples. And in fact, think he had sent them away to go into the city to buy food, because he wanted that one-on-one meeting with her. See, to him, It wasn't about anything other than, like he says in Luke chapter 2, is I'm about my Father's business. That was why he went. He knew that woman was there. She did not know when she went to the well that day, as she had every day for a number of years. She did not know that her life would be intersected by Christ that day at that well. So often we find ourselves in a place that our past may be messy, our current lifestyle may be messy, and we think we're all alone and that God doesn't care anymore. But he knows all that. He knows the past, he knows the current, he knows the future. He knows everything about us, and he still loves us. I love that the pastor brought that point out. And all the messages in this series, I shouldn't probably pick favorites, but this was probably my favorite one out of this series, because no matter what I am, no matter the mess that Jody is, he knows everything about me. What was the connection point that he brought out with this Sunday? The first connection point he brought out, there's no secrets. He knows. She didn't have any secrets with Jesus. She could hide it all from everybody else. The disciples could have walked up on this woman. They would have never known about her past. There's no secrets with Jesus, but yet he still loved her. No matter what you're going through today, no matter what you've been going through, no matter what your past is like, he still loves you. I hope you can hold on to that today and draw through the week with it. I hope everybody has a great week. Remember, I love you. And as always, you pray for me, and I'm praying for you. God bless.